Okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. All right. The cool thing about the Kingma system is that, for me, in my music, is that you can really transpose multiphonics much more freely than on a regular BAME flute. Now, we're going to start with a regular flute because it's just easier to see all this stuff. Now, the big advantage of the flute is that it's largely cylindrical, which makes the whole acoustic situation a lot simpler than the instruments that are cones. So the body of the flute is entirely a cylinder, and the head joint is almost a cylinder. It's a section of a cone with a little parabola bellied into it. If you're interested in that kind of thing, the best source is the man himself, Theobald Barum, his book, The Flute and Flute Playing, describing his amazing journey to redesign the flute and produce the flute we use largely today. It's an amazing intellectual journey, and it's a lot of fun. And if you ever wondered why the flute is the way it is, well, he's got the answers for you. Now, in terms of from the musician's perspective, the flute has two kinds of holes, small and large. If you're building a flute, it's a little more complicated, but we're just making music on it, so small and large will work. Now, here's a regular flute to start with. Now, the small holes are where are they? There they are, the trill keys. Hello, trill keys. Now, and then there's the small C sharp, and there are also the 5 center holes in the open hole keys. The 5 center holes. Sounds like a group, doesn't it? Now, the 4 tops, the 5 center holes. Anyway, now, flutists are used to thinking about keys, but the action is really the holes, because air comes out of the holes, and sometimes you push the button very far away from where the air actually changes. But, so, now, let's take a very simple multiphonic, and instead of thinking about that as, oh, that's the regular fingering for the second ledger line G, in which you can actually play a C natural underneath it and put them together, let's look at it in terms of the holes. So starting at the top of the flute, everything is closed until we come to 1 small hole open. And that's followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes closed, and then the rest is open. Now, without doing the math, we get... Now, if we can transpose this pattern of open and closed holes, we can transpose the sound, just like they do. Now, on a regular flute, open hole flute with a B foot joint, there are 6 positions for this if you work it out. Now, if we take our Kingma System Flute, let's make sure everything is stable on the table. Okay, all right, now, the Kingma System Flute, of course, has more small holes because it's got the small holes where you can't put your fingers. So there's one here in the D key, and then there's one here in the F sharp, and there's one in the G sharp, there it is. And then there's actually one between the thumb keys, that's cute, and there's one in the large hole, in the large C sharp as well. Now, my particular flute has 4 trill keys, but we're going to, for the moment, pretend they're not there. And so now we have the same. Now, assuming you have a regular Kingma System flute, this is what you could do. So instead of, you can now do enormous musical implications because it's freeing composers and improvisers to put the sound where the music wants it to go to a much higher level. I mean, this is not a keyboard where you can make every single combination of notes and intervals, in every octave, but it is a quantum level expansion of what the possibilities are. And add a glissando head joint to this, and the mind just boggles. So that's, to me, the main thing. Now, Rachel, I know that when you're doing your part of this, you'll demonstrate the quarter tone scale.
Yeah, absolutely.
And whiz up and down on that. And so I just wanted to talk about, thinking about the holes and not the keys. And when I need to conjure the flute up in front of me, when I'm improvising, if I need to do that, I see the holes, not the keys. I know where the keys are, and it's actually an idea I got from a book on table tennis many years ago. Well, in that, if you really are serious about it, which at the time I was, you should never be looking at the table. You need to know where it is. You have to really, really memorize it. And I thought, that actually makes a lot of sense. It's a certain discipline, too. I mean, it's very hard not to look at the table. But but if you don't, you're free to see the things you really need to see. And so that's the same thing. When you stop thinking about the buttons and think about what is actually happening with the air, then there's a much higher level of musical freedom.
I think that's great. Wow.
Okay, that's it.
Are we all good?
Yeah, I think so.